Today, we're going to talk about the carnivore diet. This food plan was a massive change, and I'm going to share all the information with you about it.
I graduated high school at 17, moved out, gained the college 15, realized pretty quickly that eating that way was not conducive to staying fit and healthy. A group of us did the Jane Fonda VHS tape workout and really watched what we ate, lost that 15 pounds. And from that point in my life, my goal has been healthy living, eating a healthy diet, exercising, processed foods and sugar in moderation, and the healthiest possible that I could get. If I wasn't making it myself, I wanted to know who was. That doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that it was a perfect diet or it was great all the time. I did eat very healthy and I stayed the same size my entire life. Generally, my weight's about 125 pounds. I'm a runner, so I run pretty frequently, but I've also done fitness competitions, used weights. Food plans are great because it kind of gives you a focus. I've weighed my food, tracked macros, used apps to track what I'm eating. And of course, I've changed things during pregnancy or injury, and there have been minor weight gains that then I lost it pretty easily until somewhere around September of 2018. About 9 months after this picture was taken, I had gained 13 pounds and I tracked backwards to try to figure out when did this happen? What happened? The beach photo is one that my daughter took. I didn't even know that she took it. And I know at that point in September, I was in good shape. My weight was where it was at normally. And somewhere from that photo to 9 months later, I'd started to gain weight. At that point, all I did was started to pay closer attention. Nothing in life had changed. Nothing was different for me. 22 months after that beach photo was taken, I'd gained 27 pounds. And at that point, not only did I not look like myself, but I most definitely didn't feel like myself. I had gained weight in my stomach, which was very uncommon for me. I was sleeping horribly. My GI system was off. I felt like I was walking through mud all the time. I just felt so off. I did go to my doctor in March of 2021. She did some more in-depth blood work. This is 2.5 years after that photo on the beach was taken. What she found was that at 50 years old, I was post-menopausal, not just a little bit post-menopausal. I was super tanked. My hormones were gone. They were really low, especially considering that I was 50. So the only thing that we could determine was that that was the cause of the weight gain. It was helpful to know what happened or why it was happening. In the last 3.5 years, and I have a blog post that I've linked below, once I started gaining weight and I realized that the weight gain was happening before I knew about the blood work and being postmenopausal, I was trying food plans. I went back to weighing. I went back to macros. I went back to really controlling everything that I was eating. I signed up for fitness plans. I did 4 different food plans and 4 or 5 different exercise plans. I even hired an exercise physiologist to help me figure out, was there something emotional that was happening? Was I being triggered in some way? He tracked all of my exercise and still the needle went up to 27 pounds and it would not budge down no matter what exercise plan or how much I was weighing or controlling my calories and my food. And I was miserable. I didn't feel well. And on top of not feeling well, I was radically restricting my diet with no results. So I stopped. I basically stopped working out. Although we don't eat unhealthy, I wasn't tracking anything I ate. I allowed myself to drink alcohol when I wanted to. And here's the crazy thing. The needle still didn't move. The good news was it wasn't moving up anymore. The bad news was it was not moving down. Nothing I did changed anything. And I figured at that point, if I'm going to feel miserable, I'm at least going to eat the stuff that I like to eat, I'm not going to control it because we're still eating a super healthy diet. Dane and I got COVID in August of 2021. This is almost exactly 3 years from that beach photo. The illness wasn't worse than other illnesses. The exhaustion was different. It felt unnatural. We get past it. You heal, you move on. One thing that stuck with us though from that time was this overwhelming feeling of having no motivation. And it was incredibly discouraging. From August, when we had COVID, for the next 6 months, Dane put on weight. He wasn't sleeping as well. He stopped exercising. He wasn't eating as well. It was really discouraging. It was really frustrating. It felt like we were one of those couples that people look like and think, oh, I bet they used to be in shape at one time. It was really, really discouraging. And at this point, Dane's having so much trouble with his GI system and with his sleep and with stress that something had to give. He started studying what foods could be triggering those negative feelings and what foods could potentially reverse them, and inadvertently came across the carnivore food plan. Dane told me about it and I looked at the information and I told him, it's easy to support you. I'm just cooking more meat, if anything. I'll support you. You can do carnivore. I cannot imagine giving up vegetables and fruit. I just couldn't wrap my brain around it at all. It was 4 days until we were going grocery shopping. And so in that 4 days, I did tons of research. We were sending each other things back and forth. And on the day that we went shopping, I was totally committed. I was going to do full carnivore. One caveat here, we were going to keep mustard, one of the condiments that some people keep and some people don't. And we were also going to modify it, mostly me, keeping sour cream, cheese, cream cheese, and full fat yogurt. We went shopping and started the carnivore food plan on February 27th, 2022. And just like I have with every food plan, I print a calendar and I take notes and I really track it because I want to know, is it making a difference? And if so, in what way is it making a difference? And just because that hadn't been successful in the past, no food plan had been moving the needle or budging anything at all, I really had hoped that this would be different. One thing I was really excited about is that there's so much focus on how you feel that I begin to focus more on that than on losing weight. Yes, losing weight was secondary, but really I asked myself, what if I stayed at this weight, but I felt tremendously better? Would that be okay? Yes, that would be okay. I did forget to weigh myself right when we started. I know the highest weight on the scale was 154. I've been pretty good about weighing myself about every week. Could I have been a little higher, a little lower? Yes, but that's pretty much where I was at. I did not expect huge results in my weight. I did not expect to lose any weight in the first 30 days. I really, really wanted to focus on the symptoms I was having and getting those better. My wedding ring, I hadn't been able to wear it. Every time I put it on, I would get like eczema underneath it and all these red itchy bumps. It was so uncomfortable. I tried to wear it in the day, put it on in the morning and take it off at night. And it was still so inflamed all the time. If it got inflamed enough, it would take almost a week for it to clear up. It was miserable. And I hated not wearing it, but eventually I just took it off. I wore nothing, or I wore a silicone ring because it was just so bad. At day 5 on this food plan, I had lost so much bloating and puffiness that not only did it fit better, but I've never taken it off. No issues at all. I want to talk about things that occurred in the first month. Some of them were really great and some of them not so great at first. One thing was I broke out in hives 3 different times the first 3 weeks. My naturopath used to tell me that that is the body's way of working toxins from the inside out. So I never get upset when I have hives. It's just one of those interesting things. I was itchy. We decided to do 2 meals a day, which is super easy for me. It's very natural. So we eat the first meal between 10 and 11 and the second meal around 5 o'clock. I am rarely hungry in between, especially after 30 days on carnivore. I almost never get hungry before that 10 o'clock meal, and I almost never get hungry in between. If on the rare occasion that I do, I have a cup of bone broth, maybe some pork rinds, and it's good to go. Shopping was super interesting. It felt like our cart was empty. We have all this meat in there. We thought shopping was going to be more expensive because we were buying high quality meats and we're buying a lot more. We were making sure that we had dinners every single night and that we also had lunches every single day. We actually stopped in the middle of an aisle, like, are we forgetting something? Our cart is empty. It's very strange. And not only did we not forget anything and it went fine, but it costs less. And so we just kind of high-fived each other and kept moving on. The third week, we started shopping at Costco. We go in, we load up on all of our meats. We get pork rinds there, we get butter there, we get half and half there. Once we had spent a couple weeks and kind of gone through, gotten rid of, our daughter had eaten any snacks that were existing, we focused on a couple snacks that she could have that were healthier for her, better options than what she was getting. We basically eliminated a ton of stuff from our pantry and from our refrigerator and freezer. They look a little bit empty, everything in there we eat. One of the things that we did go through that was the most fascinating to me were condiments. I feel like when I did the shopping list, you're letting go of so many things that you're so conditioned to eat all the time, that we were hanging on to a few things, like it made us feel better about the process. And in the end, we really didn't need them or want them or use them. Although, however you go through this process, I would say just know that it's not the end of the world if you eat something that's not perfectly carnivore. And also, you're probably not going to want to eat most things. We finished the electrolytes we had. We drink electrolytes every single day. It's something that we had read about and heard about. I was concerned because I had gotten so sick on keto both times that we were on keto that I was going to get flu-like symptoms because you're cutting more out of your diet. And actually, I never had anything resembling keto flu. I never had any type of withdrawals. Once we went through our electrolytes, we ordered more, we ordered better. So basically, as we were running out of anything that we used, we looked at, do we want to replace it with a better option? We did try eating out twice. We went to In-N-Out Burger once and just got a stack of burgers. And then we went to Genghis Grill once and loaded up on meat only. In-N-Out made Dane sick and Genghis Grill made me sick. We're wondering if it has something to do with the oil that they're using because we're using butter to cook with. It is very possible to eat out on this, and it's not difficult. It's not challenging to order, and it is less expensive because you're cutting out all the side dishes. So just keep that in mind. We're still very open to going to places to eat out. I know that we will find places that we really like. We're going to talk about pooping next. Some people, when they start carnivore, have diarrhea, which Jane did. Some people, like myself, get constipated and don't go to the bathroom for 9 days. Also, rabbit poop is a thing. I tried laxatives in the first couple weeks. I don't know that they really did much of anything because I was not going to the bathroom. Rest assured that in either scenario, this does resolve itself. I don't have any issues with that at this point. I reached out to female ultra runners. I tried to find blogs and YouTube channels that were carnivore for women. And I also wanted to add on the fact that they were athletes. I'm training for a half marathon again. I like being super active. I did not like not being super active. And I really wanted to figure out, so now we're on this carnivore diet. We're eating only meat. What now? How do I do it? Runners are very conditioned to carb load. Not that that's something that I ever subscribed to. However, how is my body fueling itself now? And that was a learning process about fat adaptation, which I did write about. It's about fueling your body properly. And also, several of the more endurance athletes that I read about and watched videos about and got in touch with do actually add occasionally vegetables, occasionally fruits, and occasionally carbs, especially on days that their workouts are really intense. That means like a weight workout that just slams you, or 2 hours or more of running. So that equivalent, that was great news. One of the women talked about how she made her own sourdough. So I started making sourdough. It didn't go particularly well in the beginning, but I am like an expert at it right now. And if we're going to eat a carb, that is the carb that we're going to eat. One thing I read a lot about that I wasn't sure would happen, or let's say didn't make sense to me when I was reading it, is that your body really has cues. I understand my body having cues and me being aware of them, but it was the level that this was talked about. You can eat as much as you want to eat, and you will know when you're full. You will not be able to take another bite of that thing that tasted delectable when you took your first bite. You'll just be done. The other thing is that when something is in front of you, or when I open my fridge, I will immediately react to something if my body doesn't want it. It happens and it's crazy and it's amazing. You will absolutely know when you're done eating. Your body screams at you, and your body's probably been screaming at you for years. I feel like I was putting into my body so many things that it didn't want. I wasn't even recognizing the screaming. Because we were doing modified and adding cheese, what's really interesting is that Dane can absolutely not tolerate cream cheese at all. Sour cream has never been put on anything. I have no problem with cream cheese. But feta, which is a cheese that I've really liked, I ate it once. And although I didn't react really horribly to it, I knew I would never eat it again. We have narrowed things down to one cheese that we can both tolerate. And I occasionally have cream cheese. It's not just that, though. I made ribs one night. I don't dislike ribs. There's nothing wrong with the ribs. Everybody ate them. They were delicious. I did not eat them. I knew instinctively that my body did not want the ribs. And it's so strong and primal of a feeling. There's no question about it. When you hear about that from me or anyone else, just realize that you will hit a point in this food plan where it will be unquestionable. I'm going to talk about what my expectations were in the first 30 days and what happened with those expectations. This list came from what people were saying generally happens in the first 30 days. The first one was actually just something personal, less coffee. I would drink half a pot, sometimes close to a full pot a day without even realizing it or thinking about it. I wanted to get down to 2, 3 cups max, but really 2 cups of coffee. I eliminated all sugar. That is where I use half and half, just a little bit. One thing that I have heard is that if you're having trouble losing weight, that half and half is something that you can cut out. Although I feel like, yes, you could be adding a lot more half and half than you realize. I've been pretty careful with that. I don't think that that would be causing a massive problem in and of itself. Better sleep and no sleep aids. I'm going to save that one. Better skin. I already talked about my ring. During this 3.5 years where I had gained weight and stayed at that heavier weight, my thighs, butt, and upper arms had dry bumps like eczema on them. And I was using a special lotion and kind of keeping it under control. But I really was hopeful that my skin would get better. And it did. It cleared up. I don't use the eczema lotion anymore, and I do not have dry bumps. No alcohol is a rule on this. Alcohol's not a big draw for me. I've never been a big drinker. I do not drink to get drunk. I like that buzz and that relaxed feeling, that slight tipsy feeling. I also know that when that happens, I don't sleep as well, and I'm already having trouble with sleep. I sometimes get a headache and I just feel blah the next day. Although I do like to drink occasionally, this one wasn't super hard for me at all. Your GI system functioning better. Holy cow, this one was crazy. In 5 days, I put my wedding ring back on. My bloating and puffiness was down so much. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable, especially because some side effects are getting worse before they get better. But this was incredible. I didn't poop for 9 days. I had trouble with that part of it, but the swelling, the bloating, the puffiness, and my GI system starting to function better. By the end of 30 days, I didn't realize how bad my GI tract health had been until it was better, until I had some point of reference. I can't believe I felt as bad as I did in the whole GI tract system. And that started to get better really quickly, even though it took me a little longer to regulate my bowels. More consistent energy levels. In that same about 5-day period, I realized that I felt really calm. I tend to have a lot of energy. I'm extroverted. I'm a louder personality, and I have an enormous amount of energy in the morning. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I get more done in the first 3 hours than the other 21 hours in the day. I mean, I really have a tremendous amount of energy in the morning. And then by 2 or 3, I'm really pretty pooped. And that I noticed in the first week that I was super calm, more mellow, and my energy was really consistent throughout the day. I didn't crash in the afternoon at all. I was a normal tired when I went to bed, and I felt great when I woke up. But the hours between waking up and going to sleep have been very, very calm, and it happened really quickly. Improved mood. This wasn't a super big one for me. The change was in the motivation. It's spring. The temperatures are getting a little warmer. I am feeling a ton better. And all of that contributes to the motivation. There's something in more motivation and more calmness that kind of makes me even keeled. I'm generally in a good mood. And it's very strange for me and super awesome. Improved mental clarity. Dane noticed this a lot because one of the symptoms he was having that was driving him crazy was forgetting things, just his memory. And it drove him really nuts. Where that wasn't really an issue for me. The improved mental clarity is the one that is the hardest for me to gauge. I still make lists for everything. I also don't feel cloudy or forgetful, but that one was the least of everything. For Dane in the first 30 days, he lost 19 pounds, which if I didn't love him so much and I wasn't so proud would be really irritating. His motivation came back. He's not drowsy in the afternoon anymore. His knee pain is gone from his patellar tendonitis. His sugar cravings are completely gone. And that was a big thing for him where I don't have issues with food addiction. He has. Cutting out carbs and sugar for him was a much bigger deal for me. And watching him not want things, first, watching him see something that triggered him and walk away. And then seeing something that used to trigger him that really didn't anymore. And then not even thinking about it when he walked past something in the store. I mean, it was really significant for him, as was his mental clarity. I did not expect to lose weight on the food plan. I was really going off of how I felt, which was a much better focus for me. I did lose 10 pounds. I was at 143.7 on the 30-day mark. So losing 10 pounds on top of how incredible I felt has been astounding. My recommendation is to reach out and ask questions, to study, to try to let go of how conditioned we've been to eat vegetables and eat fruit and not eat meat, and look into how meat interacts with cholesterol and fat adaptation, because a lot of the information that we've been conditioned to believe, it's quite possible that that has not been correct. Then you just jump in. You just dive in and do it and figure things out along the way. You cut out anything that might trigger you in your day and you just plow through, knowing that this is a 30-day challenge, because people who have gone before you know that you will feel so incredible by the time the 30 days rolls around that you will not want to stop. Until next time and our next update about the carnivore diet, thank you so much for watching.